Jeff, I was reading the comments from the Utah fans, as I should never do. If you like your mental health, you should probably avoid that at all costs. And this one comes from, this is proof that Cincinnati has nothing to do with game day being in Salt Lake City. It's all because of Utah. HD Ute says on Twitter, say what you want. Utah saved this conference. Utah has brought Big Noon to this state twice, and now College Game Day is coming. Big 12 relevancy rests on our shoulders. Suffice to say that Cincinnati is cooked in this game, and Utah is the only reason the Big 12 is getting any exposure.
FanDuel kind of agrees. They've got the Bearcats at plus 7.5.
Yeah, they do. It's true.
Over a touchdown? Are you kidding me? Look, I don't say that I guarantee a victory, but I'm very confident that the Bearcats can beat Utah this weekend.
Everybody else has. I mean, a lot of other teams have beaten Utah this year, so.
And a super late kickoff. I mean, it's like 10:15 Eastern time that we're getting. My coffee intake is going to be really high this coming Saturday. It's going to be very interesting in the Carr household as we get ready to watch this game. But I think it's 80-20 that the Bearcats are the reasons why game day is heading to Salt Lake City this weekend, because they moved the kickoff for homecoming in Stillwater to 8 p.m. because the Bearcats were coming to town. Yeah. Homecoming against Baylor was moved to a 4 o'clock game. There have been so many noon kickoffs ever since the Bearcats have joined the Big 12 that it's hard for me to count those. But now they're good enough that they're moving everything around. And had the Bearcats not beat Baylor this past week, game day would have been heading to, their 15th appearance at an SEC school this year. So I firmly believe that the Bearcats are the majority of the reason. The draw. There's so many NFL players on this team. I mean, you mentioned on the defensive side of things, Dante Corleone. Absolutely, he's going to be a draft pick. Jake Golday might go higher. Number 11, the linebacker for the Bearcats. Like there's so many different talents on this team. I almost said ball club.
I like ball club. Come on now.
A ball club. There's so much talent here that people want this team in prime time. People want to talk about this team. Game day knows it, and that's why they're excited to go to Utah to talk about the Bearcats, because if the Bearcats beat Utah, there's a really good chance that game day's here in 2 weeks when BYU shows up, or 3 weeks. When BYU shows up.
Think about this, though. We could see this is because of the way the Big 12 schedule has cracked out, and it's one that – like, I feel bad for Cincinnati. You could have had your last 4 games against, say, Oklahoma State or a conglomerate of West Virginia or an Arizona or a Colorado. I mean, you could throw in a few Big 12 schools that I do think ultimately Cincinnati would roll over, steamroll, I should say. Whereas, like, same thing goes for BYU, and their last slate features at Texas Tech. That could be a top 15 matchup. Hello, College Game Day. And then that Cincinnati game on November 22nd at Cincinnati, that could be a top 10 matchup, a top 15 matchup. We're looking at BYU having College Game Day on the road 2 out of 3 weeks here, because the Big 12 could represent the best of college football with top 10, top 15 matchups. And we didn't have that last year. We didn't have that 2 years ago. Now this conference is in a position with 5 ranked teams to continue to bolster those. Am I crazy for saying that if Cincinnati wins, this helps the Big 12? I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you a question that expound a little bit here, which is bad journalism, but I'm not a journalist anyway. In saying that, people are like, oh, well, it hurts BYU. No, BYU can go now beat a top 10 Cincinnati team in a few weeks. Like, this is going to help. The better those rankings are for the Big 12, when a BYU or a Texas Tech or Cincinnati are still winning. Like, if BYU is number 7 and Cincinnati beats them as the number 11 team, that's going to help the Big 12 conference. We need the top 3 and 4 teams to win. Utah's not there right now. The rooting interest of the league would be Cincinnati here.
Huge. And honestly, this takes me back to a point that you made a couple of weeks ago where you're like, I want a Big 12 stalwart to be the top of this conference. I disagree. I think that this shows in the group of the group 4 teams that are running the conference right now shows just how good the Big 12 should be considered in the national conversation. Yeah. Because everybody talks about the SEC from bottom to top. You could win a playoff game when you're looking at the bottom teams or the top teams or whatever. Now you can make that point about the Big 12 too, because we're seeing the deep, maybe not the bottom. I mean, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, they got a little bit of work to do to get to that point, but you've got a deep group of teams that you go, UC, BYU, Texas Tech, Utah, even some of the unranked teams right now in Iowa State and Kansas State. Like, those teams look like they could win an interconference battle for some sort of a playoff win. And when you see the success that teams like Cincinnati are having, you take the Big 12 even more seriously because of its depth and because of the level of competition that every single team can bring to the gridiron each and every Saturday. And I think that that's why these types of games are so important, and Gameday is recognizing that.
Yeah, Gameday has not really recognized the Big 12 this year. I almost want to boycott it, right? I was like, no one show up. Let's not do this. But I do think
they're going to learn.
I've been to games at Rice-Eccles Stadium. I've seen the Utah fandom. This is one of the best representations of what 2025 Big 12 football is. This is a very passionate fan base, and it's an opportunity for the college football scene to see, hey, there's a 2-loss Big 12 team. I mean, that's when ESPN hears the words, 2-loss, Big 12 team, they hate that. But here's a representation of how the conference, even with the team that isn't leading the way, can showcase how strong our fan bases are, how strong our viewership can be with America watching. And maybe, Jeff, it ultimately does help ESPN if Cincinnati helps them make the case for how, look at the lowly Big 12 if Cincinnati goes on the road and beats up on this pomp and circumstance filled Utah team. But I think, and I'm going to go back to that point, kind of reiterate it from a few weeks ago, the Big 12 needs a big dog, but that big dog could be Cincinnati. We need Cincinnati to continue to win as well as we do BYU and Texas Tech, and it's a shame those schools will intersect down the line.
I believe that you're 100% right. In the atmosphere of Rice-Eccles, right? Not Bryce-Eccles, Rice-Eccles.
We learned that the hard way, didn't we? I guess the easy way. Chris Level learned that the easy way.
So that one. But the atmosphere there is electric. The atmosphere at Nippert Stadium is electric. And the more that we continue to see national exposure for the Bearcats, they're going to realize, and especially if like either the Arizona game or the BYU game gets to be a primetime kickoff, Nip at night is an experience like none other. And I love everything about the fact that we're getting this national attention on the Bearcats because they absolutely deserve it. And there's also the little bit of side thing of, hey, Taylor Swift might show up, you just never know. Because you got Travis Kelce.
I don't know if Taylor Swift. I don't know if Taylor Swift showing up to Salt Lake City this week, but Post Malone might, and that would also be cool. I would enjoy that. Coming up, I think I've circled the game of the year in the Big 12, and it's not happening for a few weeks, but it could also host College Game Day in Cincinnati against the BYU Cougars. This is Locked On Big 12 and Locked On Bearcats. Today's show is brought to you by GameTime. I wanted to go to the BYU and Utah game a couple weeks ago, and I want to go to the BYU Cincinnati game, and I want to go see Texas Tech play whoever Texas Tech is playing. When I want to do that, I go to GameTime. College football is back, and I am excited every week to open game. You ever go on Zillow? You just scroll. It's my favorite social media. I'm that way with GameTime. Like, there's a Jacksonville Jaguars game 2 hours from me. Interesting. I can get tickets for $13. Like that. I love just scrolling GameTime. Pull it up, couple taps, see amazing deals. Talking about college football for as low as $25. Zone deal. You pick the section, GameTime picks the seats, you save big. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with GameTime. Download the app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, promo code LOCKEDONCollege, $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download GameTime. Do it today.